Hey, everybody, and welcome to the Quarantine Diaries. I'm excited today. We're changing it up, and we're meeting with one of our fantastic middle school leaders, Martha. So before I say too much about Martha, the floor is yours, the mic is yours. Tell the people a little bit about yourself, who you are, where you're from, what you do, etc. Don't give them your life story, but, tell them who you are in like 30 to 60 seconds.
So I'm Martha. I'm a sophomore at the College of Charleston. I grew up in Mount Pleasant, but I didn't go to St. Andrews.
Now, technically?
What?
Aren't you a junior now, technically?
Oh my gosh, I'm a junior now. Okay, so I'm a junior at the College of Charleston. That sounds weird. Yeah, that's a little fun summary. Yeah.
If everything goes according to plan, what do you hope to be doing this summer?
Okay. So I'm hoping to be working at Camp St. Christopher. Right now it's still going on, but you never know. Everything's up in the air. So that's my plan. Backup is nannying. So if it doesn't work out, but that's not what I'm hoping for.
You know what you will be fully doing at Camp St. Christopher, like what your role will be?
So I would be a staff member. So I was a staff member last year, but basically staff is just like, you make camp run, like you like play, like do all the activities, you like lead sailing, all like the hikes, literally anything on the water, you're lifeguard. And yeah, it's just like the backbone of camp, kind of like counselors are with the kids more and they get like the interaction, which I miss.
Mm-hmm.
And I love being with like your kids in your cabin, but and you still can with staff, but it's harder because you only get to see them like in certain chunks of like the day, when it's like sit down and have small group time, or like when you're at like breakfast, lunch, dinner with them. But
Yep. Yeah, you get to run the camp, not hang out with students, unfortunately.
Yeah.
That's usually how it works. Did you say what your major was at College of Charleston? I forget.
So I'm a public health and communications major. They're both different majors, so I'm doubling. But I added communications on this year because I was like, well, I really like public health, but I feel like I could do more with it if I have an extra like something else in there. So yeah.
So what do you hope to do with all this after you graduate?
Good question. I have like a couple of options. I could either be like a PR or an HR person in a hospital, or what I'm kind of leaning more towards is like journalism and communication, like broadcasting.
Okay.
So my main goal is like anchor, like on the news. I might need to go back for more schooling, like along the journalism side, but I think that'd be so cool. And I love journalism, and I love that sort of like field,
Mm-hmm.
like communications, journalism. That's my ish. So
Yeah.
I love it.
Yeah, one step at a time. That's all you got to worry about. One step at a
Mm-hmm.
time. With the introduction now over, let's get to the hard-hitting stuff and the journalistic mind frame of this. You're quarantining. Life is different as we know it today. If you had to quarantine with one person who is not blood related to you in any form or fashion, who would you want to quarantine with and why? And now you could choose the safe answer and not anger one of your friends, or you could totally try to anger one of your friends by choosing a friend who the other friend didn't think you would choose. Or you could go the fun route and go with a celebrity, because whatever, the world is your oyster. Who would you quarantine with and why? And remember, this is like for 2 months straight at this point. So like, there's no breathing, there's no going outside. You're with this person 24/7 for at least 2 months.
This is easy. Reese Witherspoon.
That was fast and decisive. And why Reese Witherspoon?
You know what? You were saying this, and in my mind, I was like, who could I spend time with who I genuinely think is very nice and like fun? And I feel like she's very intelligent. Like she would be able to like, I could talk to her for hours, I think, and I would not be bored. So that's my answer.
Okay. Did you hear about her social media fiasco though that happened earlier during quarantine?
No, what'd she do?
So it wasn't her, if I remember right. She now is a part of a clothing line, And the clothing line, yeah, Draper James, told teachers um, that they would give out like a free outfit or a free dress or something. And they weren't, because it's a pretty new clothing line and they attached themselves to Reese Witherspoon. So they weren't expecting that big of a demand. Apparently over like 1 million teachers reached out to them. They were expecting like several thousand, not a couple million. And so they had to go on a huge PR thing about how they can't really fulfill all of this. And so they tried to do something good at the start of the pandemic and completely um, didn't quite understand how, when Reese Witherspoon's name was attached to something, just how much something would go viral and people would pick up on it. And so they should have said like the first 1,000 people or the first 1,000 teachers that respond get a free outfit, not any teacher who responds get a free
It's
outfit.
like, do you remember a few years ago when or maybe they had like this red swimsuit and it was like a brand new company, and it was like, if you repost a picture of the swimsuit, you get a free one, and like millions of people did it, and it's like a brand new company, and
Mm-hmm.
it just, I mean, I think they felt like followed through with it, but they were just like just too many
Yeah,
people.
good idea, bad execution. Um, so with that, now let's anger some friends, hopefully. If you had to choose a person you actually know to quarantine with, who is the person who you would choose to quarantine with? And remember, friendships are at stake with this question.
I'm gonna say Allie because we've already been basically quarantining together. We're like the one person each other has been seeing mostly, like, so I'm gonna say Allie.
So all of the friends not named Allie, just remember you were not chosen. She Allie. So in the midst of quarantine, school just ended for you last week, but how have you been keeping yourself occupied? How have you been helping a Monday look like a Monday, a Tuesday look like a Tuesday? Like, what's been your routine? How have you been living your life in quarantine these days?
Honestly, the days kind of mushing together, so I don't really know. Like, sometimes I'll be like, "Wait, is it Wednesday or is it Tuesday?" And then someone will be like, "Oh, it's Thursday," and I'm like, "Cool, okay, well, either way, let's get this day started."
Mm-hmm.
Um, I feel like honestly, I've just been like waking up and trying to do like same routine, like eat breakfast, I'll go on a run. Um and then I honestly really like driving around. So I've been driving around and like finding a cool place to sit around, and um one morning, just to get the day started, I went onto IOP and found a really cool spot and parked my car and like sat on the roof of my car and just like watched the sunrise. Um and I'm not a morning person, so that was hard.
Mm-hmm.
So, um, I'm trying to think what else I've been doing. Uh, Without school, honestly, it's so nice because I'm just able to like not have the worry of like, oh well, do I have something due today,
Mm-hmm.
or like, do I have a paper? Like, who knows? Um, Trying to think of anything else. Honestly, I've been watching a lot of Netflix.
Well, so,
So
so that's the next question is what have you been watching or reading or playing inside this level of quarantine? So what rabbit holes have you found yourself going down to occupy your time?
so you see, I I on Netflix, I'm not a huge TV show person. I'm like I'm very much a movie person. Um, so I did watch all of Outer Banks in one day, and I'm obsessed with it. I think everyone is.
Mm-hmm.
Um, Especially just the fact that it's filmed in Charleston is so cool.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and but other than that, I've been watching, like, I watched Mirror Mirror the other day. You know that it's like a Snow White spinoff kind of. It has Lily Collins in it.
Yeah, I have no idea what words you were mentioning right now, other than I assumed it was something about Snow White because of the phrase mirror, mirror. Um,
So I watched that, and then what else did I watch? I watched Benjamin Button,
okay.
which I knew I was gonna be sad the moment I started it,
Mm-hmm.
and I was right.
Mm-hmm.
um, and I watched a lot more. I'll like clean my room and put a movie on and like look over. So I can't remember a ton of other ones.
Okay, the newest thing I'm making Ellie do on quarantine because we have Disney Plus is we started on May the 4th, and we are going through the numerical order of the Star Wars movies, even though the prequels are hot garbage. But we had to start with number one because I mean we got plenty of time, so we've been watching a Star Wars movie a night for the last week. Um, yeah, so it's the perfect time to binge some movies too.
I feel like the fact that I can't really move forward, maybe this is for everyone, but we can't really move forward with anything. So I'm reverting back. So I've been watching lots of like High School Musical on Disney Plus, and I watched, they have like a new series, like High School Musical, the series, watched all of that. And I actually really like it, and I'm not ashamed to say
Okay.
that.
Uh, so High School Musical, that makes sense. If you had a like classic Disney Channel show that
Oh,
you could binge and watch all of it, what would that Disney Channel show be?
oh, that's hard. There's so many good ones. Um, I'm trying to think of like all the classic ones. Sweet Life of Zack and Cody.
Oh, you went. I like the Sweet Life of Zach and Cody. Okay, that's actually one I know of. I appreciate that. Okay, are you reading anything fun during this season? Now that you're done with school, while you were in school, were you just too occupied reading school books? Are you reading anything for fun that's interesting in this season?
Um, am I doing or reading?
Reading anything fun in this season?
Um, reading. I started Bob Goff's um Everything or Everybody Always.
Okay.
Um, I've started though. I haven't gotten too far into it. Um, other than that, I haven't read it like a book in a long time. Just because, like, especially during the school year, if I read a book, I get too into it, and
Hmm.
then I won't study. That's just how I am. Like, um, so yeah, that's what I'm reading right now.
Okay, so now we're going to go down twofold rabbit trail questions. One of them is going to be a little inside baseball that only a handful of students will know about. So we'll start with the big picture one. You
Okay.
were obviously going to in-person classes at CFC.
Yes.
Then the pandemic hit, so you switched to online, just like all the rest of our high schoolers and middle schoolers. So how was your adjustment to online school for college and what you were faced with going from daily in class to having to do it online? How was your experience with online classes?
So for me, I love college. I think it's amazing, and I like, at least at CFC, the professors are so kind, and they're very like, I think professors anywhere are really outspoken and like really kind, and they want to help you. And I loved going to class and like knowing that I could get help if I needed it. And this isn't so much an adjustment, but like something that I saw even in person class and then online classes, like even in the online classes, I was still given the same amount of like support that I was being given in class as online. And that was really nice to like know, because I'm so ADHD. I can't pay attention, and like sometimes I do need that specific, like I need to go to like their office hours and be like, hey, can you help me with this? And like with online classes, I'll wake up and be like, oh wait, is there something due today? And then it's due like an hour before I see it, and I have to speed type up like a small discussion post, and like that was an adjustment. And I am not like, I think I have like everything in here, like my schedule. Like, okay, I'll be like, okay, I have something on Tuesday due at 10 p.m. or I have something due on Wednesday, like at 8:30 in the morning before class. And then with quarantine, there's just so much due online that I mentally could not like put all of everything that was due in my head. So I had to make a schedule, and I had to like, I just had to be a lot more type A and like schedule it all out, have a set routine, which I just don't usually have.
So perfect, because this leads to the inside baseball question where you and I have talked about this privately before. Um, we're going to use the word Enneagram. So students, if you don't know what the Enneagram is, chances are at some point, especially high schools, you'll hear me talk about it more and more and more as we go deeper into life together. What is your Enneagram number and what is that, Martha?
So, you know this, and I need you to help me with this. So, Jonathan and I, and Allie, she was here. It was like in February, I think. Um, we all got together, and Jonathan was reading out and like helping us figure out which Enneagram we specifically were, because I always get like almost the exact same percentage score between a 2, which is the helper, and a 7, which is the enthusiast. And I don't know what I am at this point. I just say I'm a good mix.
Um, you are probably a 7, Martha. There's probably no doubt in that, which is why I've been curious how, you're keeping yourself intrigued during quarantine. Because even the fact that when you start a book for fun during school, the fact that it takes away your time and attention from your studies kind of just proves the point. But speaking of all of this, let's go to the deeper question of whether you're a helper or enthusiast, whatever it looks like in this season of quarantine. I haven't asked the students this specific question because I feel like they might know how to answer this question, but you'll have a better shot. If I were to ask you, which I am, in this season of quarantine, how is your soul? Like, how are you doing? How would you answer that question?
I feel like it takes, at least I was like the first part of quarantine, it's like, okay, well, I'm just bored. But then like as quarantine kept going on, I just like started to be like just overthink small things, which is weird because I am an overthinker, but not like that in depth. Um, so it just kind of like after a while, I was like, "What? That doesn't even make sense, Martha. Stop!" Like I kind of had to tell myself to shut up. And um, so I'm like, I'm good, but it just takes like a sense of kind of like I just have to like have my quiet time every day and kind of just be like, okay, well, you don't need to worry about those things. Like that's way past like we've been here for what 60 days. That's 60 days is enough time to kind of like you shouldn't be thinking about this anymore,
Mhm.
Martha. So yeah.
Yeah. So have you found that it's gotten easier or harder the longer you've been in it?
In quarantine,
Yeah.
um, I think it's like harder
Hmm.
because I feel like the less I'm distracted, the more it pops up. And it's like just, but then it's like, it's also fine now because I like had one day I was just like, I'm over this. I don't want to feel this way anymore. And I just kind of like, I think I sat down for like maybe 3 hours one day and was just like, I didn't move. And I was just like, okay, we're going to sit here and we're going to think about this.
Yeah, it's impressive right there. Way to sit with your emotions. That is still something I do not like to do at all. So,
And yeah.
yeah, this is actually the perfect cutoff point for part 1 of the Quarantine Diaries with Martha. So say goodbye for now, Martha,
Bye.
and we will pick this up shortly.